Where's the best place to ponder? A few years ago, taking a shit was kind of like a hobby of mine. I really enjoy the process of thinking. Then I got hemorrhoids. No More Heroes is a video game series that is possibly within a video game series that is a parallel world of another video game series. Not even written by Suda51, genius, game designer, writer, game director, and CEO, who conceived the game when we shared the same hobby. 運行するとき, everything you take in is all ぐしゃぐしゃに混ざる, and then it comes out, right? Creating is the same shit. I hate doing what everyone else is doing. 誰も考えないゲームを作りたいってずっと思っていました。I found my philosophical equal. People say his games are made on crack, but instead of smoking the rock, he threw it at my face. It either took me to paradise or to penis hell. This guy made 2 of my top 10 games of all time and 3 of my top 10 worst. Never trust a man with a number in his name. Still, I played every game to Kill the Past series, and then some. But before we kill the past, we have to live it. Before becoming a pro wrestler, Suda Goichi used to make ads for Sega. Yu Suzuki showed him around the place, and for the first time he saw the world behind the games. Only Human and Atlas were willing to hire a guy whose only skill was knowing everything about sweaty men in underpants. Human was the game sports company back then. In the West, people know them for the Clock Tower series. They even founded the world's first video game school where students even made commercial games for the Super Famicom. But Suda didn't come from college. He came from the morgue. His wife told him to follow his passion, so he had to choose a stable job as an undertaker or crunch. He became a director immediately, earning his team's trust with capitalism. Now the same guy who grew up in Japan's arcade golden age was making games, trying to infuse them with how he felt back then. Suda's mentor, the man behind the Fire Pro series, set him for life with a single sentence. 好きにやっていいぞ! Suda's debut as a writer had an ending so controversial that, well, let me illustrate. Imagine winning the World Cup in FIFA, only to realize it was a dying dream of what could have been. Because in reality, you dropped out of school, became a drug dealer, and died in a gang war in the City of God, Rio de Janeiro. Fighting game fans were pleased.
はがきを送ってくるんですよね。で、そこのはがきに死ね、金返せ、殺すとかもうすごいんですよ。この段ボール3箱分ぐらい。
This is the story of a Japanese man named Smith. He dreams of becoming the world champion, the catch. Much like in Street Fighter, Smith travels the world, only Suda has something to say about media sensationalism, more to say about the clash between the old and the new, and a lot to say about the price of obsession. The love interest treats him like trash. His master thinks he's weak in the head. In the world of wrestling, suffering is a badge of honor. In a world of modeling, a woman can only speak Kansai Ben once the spotlight's off. One man fought a match the same day his mother died. So what's your excuse, huh?
Vai fazer isso mesmo, irmão? Tu vai abandonar teu país?
But he'll become a man worth of his prize. Only she married someone else while he was wrestling to become a man. Sometimes the ending is inevitable. Sometimes a far mark isn't enough. Is the promised land really found within or at the summit? Smith fights to go beyond.
The red dawn!
The only time we feel alive is when we put our lives on the line. It's a sad reality, but we people are never satisfied. We'll always seek a higher rush.
You and I,
Did he find his reward? When you bury your feelings deep enough, you start to believe they were never there to begin with. To hustle without reflection is to wander without a compass. Sumi, Su, purity. No wonder the second kanji is the same Su as in Suda. If Pro taught him it would be dishonest to treat life and death like a multiple choice test. As if any ending involving such heavy themes could change based on player input. He thought about the deaths of famous people who reached the top and had nowhere else to go. And he put those feelings in a depressed fighting game character. It isn't part of Kill the Past, but it already shows the kind of choices Suda would go on to make as a writer. Smash the old, create the new. Suda Goichi once said, working as an undertaker shaped how he portrays death in games. He refused to treat it lightly, because death isn't an RPG battle. That's why Moonlight Syndrome is about tangible death. It's unofficially the first game in Kill the Past, despite being the third in a series that wasn't even his. Twilight Syndrome explored the past through supernatural lenses. Suda took over mid-development, so he didn't really touch the script. Moonlight Syndrome looked at the present, now the past, and then killed it. That's the one he wrote. The others like Scooby-Dooby-Doo, but with bullying ending in suicide. Men, women, and children executed for crimes they never committed. A forbidden love between teacher and student ending in suicide. And an old man locked in a sealed bunker refusing to believe the war is over. His hometown? Hiroshima. Like in many Japanese works, tradition and progress constantly clash. You'll find shrines in the middle of Tokyo. Despite having robots, most companies still use fax machines. A blurred line between the everyday life and the supernatural. Staff at Human once claimed the company was haunted. While working late at night, Suda would often hear a woman's voice. He'd look around, but there was no one. But his love for his wife beat his fear of ghosts. That's how he later came to direct a Fatal Frame game, one of her favorite series. I do the same, except I'm not afraid of waifus, to see through the illusion of attachment, a conviction built on false beliefs. Mika, the girl who chased lies, desperate for them to be true, vanishes into the Urayama. If the first game was Omote, the surface, the everyday, then the second one is Ura, the hidden, and why not, the supernatural. Her public face is Tatemae, her authentic self, Honne. Keeping them separate isn't hypocrisy. It's Japanese culture. The 80s. Japan was in the middle of an economic miracle. Job security, financial stability, and a general sense of happiness defined the era. Then the bubble burst. The 90s, the so-called lost decade, a time of financial and emotional collapse. A generation lost in the search for meaning. In the early 90s, the Om Shinrikyo cult gained a massive following. They made a game about it. It was satire, not propaganda, made by the same guy behind Hong Kong 97, carrying out the sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway just like in real life. The good ending, or the end of the world. The bad one. At least the devs weren't involved in the literal cult anime Choitsekai. This decade is tied to my favorite genre of all time, Denpa. The word echoes from the Fukagawa series slasher Case in the 80s, when a man went on a killing spree claiming he was being controlled by electromagnetic waves. It's also connected to Evangelion and what came after it. Even in the True Files, a fictional book about a journalist's investigation released alongside Moonlight Syndrome, claims every teenager back then felt like Shinji. The best horror feels primal. A fear of the unknown lurking in the darkness of our own minds. But who's to say what lies within is even real? Maybe who you truly are is just who others think you are. People are scarier. Anyone can become a victim. How does a murderer even look like? Well, ordinary. Can you truly feel alive boxed inside an apartment complex? Every wall hides a different world. If we could see through, maybe we'd find our own rooms just in a different flavor. Staring into the glowing screen, seeing the world through someone else's perception. Retreating so deeply within, you start to mistake the world for its reflection. An online game where you buy items for peace of mind, all built on the faith that the simulacrum means something. A generation spending time on things to avoid people. It's still 1997. There are many boxes in Suda's works. Some have heads inside them, others dysfunctional families. But Suda contradicts what I just made up. Monshu ni taishite, I really love them. The danger of mistaking the art for the artist. Mika distanced herself from her former Twilight Syndrome friends. When a girl who looked just like hers found dead, Ryo loses not just his sister, but also his lover. Sumi also loved his own sister but dated Ryo's sister, and Ryo also dated Sumio's sister. People think I like incest, but to tell the truth, I just find it cute when it's well written. We alternate between these two paths, moving through a town gone mad, chasing the mystery of a boy named Mithra. Now a ghost appears on school grounds and no one bats an eye. But a boy commits suicide? And they hold a club event for it the very next day. We live in a society that craves spectacle from those broken by its own... We are all disconnected. Twilight exists in the text. Moonlight exists in the voice. People share the same space, but they don't see the same thing. They are not in sync. A family of canned responses. Not interacting, just acting. Keeping up one's sekente. Sick in a tribe for a sense of belonging. What do you want to roleplay as? Someone chasing acknowledgement? Or someone who rejects that need so they can be acknowledged? The rejection of mainstream media by niche bubbles. The rejection of those bubbles by the mainstream. Good takes, bad takes, based. This is mid, that's peak. Replicating the same words over and over until they lose all meaning. No thoughts of our own, just like I didn't think that myself. I just played a game that told me that. Comparing takes just to see if we approve of each other's taste, or confirming our biases with numbers. It's easier to adopt someone else's opinions. You don't need to play a game to have played the game. Can the drowned ever reach the promised land? In the Twilight, she used the dead as a curiosity. Under the moonlight, she begged their forgiveness. Can one person forgive everything? It said at one point the god of light Mithra stood almost equal to the supreme god in Zoroastrianism. He didn't rebel like Lucifer, the Lightbringer, who was the god of contracts and of sacrifices. Not a deceiver, but the god of truth. An old man threatens Mika with the truth. In Killer 7, Mithra speaks with the voice of an old man. Ryo kills the last surviving character from Twilight Syndrome. They asked for forgiveness, but he couldn't forgive his own weakness. He surrendered to it, hoping it would lead him to paradise. Syndrome fans weren't pleased, so Moonlight was deemed non-canon. If anything, it was a parallel world. The world of Kill the Past. ゲームの破壊みたいなことをやってしまいました. One player even said, "He's an asshole who cares more about his own masturbation than the fans." Suda's games are philosophically punk. He breaks all rules intentionally. At least he didn't make a whole game based around the most basic mechanic. Otherwise, he'd be called a visionary. The first feelings, the first emotions that will remain in you forever. We call that moment, that feeling, the punk. He couldn't make his own IPs at Human, so instead of making a proper sequel, he chose to express himself. After the Kobe child murders in 1997, Moonlight Syndrome was censored. Suda didn't condone violence. He wanted to understand it. He set out to respond to the overbearing media control he faced during the development of Moonlight Syndrome. His next game, The Silver Case, didn't face the same restrictions because this time we are not the psychopath. We chase one. Did you know? In Japan, the silver case is more popular than Killer 7, but the silver case ain't no bishoujo game. After 2 major backlashes against his writing and human going belly up, Suda founded his own studio, Grasshopper Manufacture, and then decided writing was the game. But make no mistake, this is a man who always wanted to make action games. Unfortunately, with a team of 5, he could only make a better one. Suda was no fan of the usual aesthetic common to visual novels, not their static nature, so he watched Nouvelle Vague. Internal monologues run over dialogue with a third voice narrating on top. Likewise, the Silver Case's film window shows multiple images and lines of text at the same time, a comic book trapped within a computer interface, like the TVs in Killer 7, hyper-reality, live-action footage, 3D graphics, anime, more realistic anime. Suda had 5 ideas for stories, so he made 5 games in one, tied by an Ijokozo. Transmitter, written by Suda, is about a shell-shocked special investigator, silent protagonist, me. Placebo, written by Oka Masahi, follows Morishima Tokyo, a journalist hired to investigate a criminal case from his home office. Tokyo wakes up at odd hours, barely leaves the house, his life revolves flipping between bed and computer, and the only one who take him seriously are a gay bartender who likes getting tied up and a turtle. That's me again. The Silver Case opens by killing Joe. Crime is now seen as a computer virus, spreading when the public treats serial killers like reality TV stars, obsessing over their every move through media sensationalism. The heinous crimes unit is the antivirus. But who's to say the antivirus won't infect your computer and sell your information to Russia? It was his conviction that this eclipse of reason and failure of willpower attacked a man like a disease, developing gradually and reach its highest point just before the perpetration of the crime. The question whether the disease gives rise to the crime or whether the crime, due to its own peculiar nature, is always accompanied by something like a disease. He did not yet felt able to decide. Hitsugoro Kusabi is a hard-boiled, foul-mouthed detective Suda thought a man ought to be like. Gay and prone to blowing his entire salary on horse racing, then casually asking his partner Sumio Kodai for 50,000 yen. Sumio treats his senpai with reverence, but now and then tells him to fuck off. He has borderline magical intuition and tends to flirt with suspects at gunpoint, especially if they're hot and have killed several people. Kusabi calls me Dekachin because I have a big dick. Deka is also slang for detective. Some might have a dekatamashi or a dekatama, the soul of a detective. Tama also means balls in a different kanji. That's why I'm called Detective Penis. You see how important it is to read in Japanese. Fuckhead. Kusabi always uses this kanji. He's also the man who arrested the infamous serial killer, Kamui. 20 years later, Kamui wakes up from a coma, except he couldn't have killed anyone. Is it really him? Or is it your neighbor? On the night of the full moon, madness creeps in. Or is that an inflated sun? Who's to say those on the side of the law don't harbor the same violent impulse, the same criminal power? The power to dispose of a threat requires one thing: convincing yourself the other is an object. If death is gamified, we better speak in katakana. You don't talk to a person, you read battle descriptions. In the sequel, we meet 2 more duos: Kuroyanagi, Japan's Dirty Harry, and Shiroyabu, Japan's Shiroyabu. Tsuki is a by-the-books detective, the senpai, and his kohai, Osato, who kills people over how they eat miso-shiru. The 2 duos work for opposing agencies. One handles adjustment, the other disposal. They mean the same thing, only one uses euphemism. And again, we have Tokyo. Now he lives on a boat, forever drifting in place with amnesia he brought upon himself, because he trusted he would remember. Tokyo sees me from the window, but I'm Tokyo, seeing myself from the outside. He lives in the same apartment complex where someone just died, but he only finds out through a computer screen. The internet was made to connect people. Doxing, streaming, idols, self-righteousness, suicide. It's like opening a personal diary. It's still 1999.
Hey, stop knocking at my fucking door!
His door. I'm investigating the death of a boy and of a man who either jumped from a balcony or was pushed. Hikaru and Goichi grew close together. It happened while they were playing. They were being chased by a neighbor who knew about Hikaru's weak heart condition and did it on purpose. To the Japanese, a taste for sweets might seem amai, but purity doesn't mean good, it means itself, and that can be cruel. Children are mirrors, reflecting what adults have long lost. So when the reflection disappeared, the mirror cracked. Facts and truth are not the same. Facts are relative, shaped by what the world chooses to believe. Truth, however, is absolute, but when someone holds a different version of it, that becomes their fact. Should we confront the boy with the truth, even if it doesn't align with his fact? Shiroyabe confuses the two. A fanboy of Kusabi, fascinated by Kamui, his sense of justice painted in embellishments. But is a legend just a legend? If creation is art, then destruction must be too. The moon, a terrifying creative force capable of reshaping reality. People commit crimes as far as human imagination allows. Raskolnikov spends 100 pages contemplating murder. In half a page, the deed is done. The reasoning is more compelling than the act itself. That's why the death of mooks in action movies don't mean jack shit. They don't get 100 pages. Sometimes killing isn't about a reason, it's just a job. But maybe that's just an otogibanashi. A princess captured by an orochi. The hero is riding to reclaim her. History embellished. There was no serpent. Just humans. There were no heroes. Just humans. Like committing a crime to kill his past, Sumio destroyed the one thing that felt permanent. Trapped between fantasy and reality, he stepped off the edge. A political crime with no profit in mind. The company's waste polluted his town's river. The people protested. The chemicals warped their minds and the riots grew violent. They called her a witch. She was taken from her home, raped, and then killed. Sumio and his friends fought back, only to be made an example. Mizaru. Iwazaru. But sin is sin. There's no one who can forgive everything. Why did you go that far? Kakko korosu tame desu. What was in the past? Everything. The 5th and 6th generation of consoles were truly experimental. Nowadays, Flower, Sun, and Rain wouldn't be made. It became my top 5th game of all time, dethroning Final Fantasy IX. One upholds tradition. The other builds a statue made out of poop. The phrase Flower, Sun, and Rain appears in a single line of dialogue in the silver case. The answer is inside Kamui. The silver case Suda predicted reality with surprising accuracy. In Flower, Sun, and Rain, a man named Tsumio Mondo arrives on a paradise-like island. His mission, to stop terrorists from bombing a plane. Release date, May 2001. If the silver case was city pop without the pop, Flower, Sun, and Rain is a city pop album cover. Sumio Mondo is a searcher. As he explains directly to us while driving his Toyota Celica, he searches for things while carrying his past inside a silver case. So the color thing was a coincidence, but the case itself was intentional, which is something I just thought of just now. So I guess I'm still kind of bullshitting, but that's no ordinary silver case. That's Catherine. Instead of solving puzzles while walking around with a stiff neck, now we have math. A jacuzzi, delicious coffee sipped from various angles, nature all around. Peter the Broker is definitely not Japanese. To solve the puzzles, you grab your trusty island guidebook, a physical, official book the game still tries to sell me 20 years later. Blending game design both inside the game, outside the game, and back inside again. Now that Grasshopper had 5 or 6 more staff members, they can move off the grid into the jank. Naturally explore the island on foot. There's no driving mechanic, or rather, cars are prohibited in Los Paz. Why do we have to solve the curse of a hotel room before I'm allowed to leave? I'm supposed to stop the bomb. The next day, Mondo has to stop the terrorists. They've got many more bombs to plant. And again, and again, and again, and again, and again, again, and again, again, and again, and again, and again, and again, again, and again. A sausage-fingered girl walking around with a pink alligator named Christina is looking for me. She's Kusabi's daughter. Toriko, that's Christina. Mondo always trips when he falls out of bed. Not once, or twice, or thrice, or 4 times, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Turns out it's the hotel maid. She has a habit of grabbing my feet every time I try to leave the bed. The manager keeps urging me to hurry up, but a bracelet blocks my path because it's doing sit-ups. Look, a pushcart fell down the stairs. What do you mean jump over it? Video games are like rails, and you are the train. Some NPCs can't get to the point. Sometimes I just want to accept a request and move on. Where are the quest markers? Where are the rewards? The only numbers going up are inside your waifu calculator. They can only count on Mondo and Mondo only, like a savior coming to paradise. Even if Mondo steals a bike because he's tired of walking, you still have to go back and forth like a jackass 3 times. Can I just warp? No, the goal keeps getting delayed by these ridiculous trivialities until the goal itself becomes trivial, and those trivialities become the goal. Because I helped the man and his bride, they invited me to their wedding. Because the gate was closed, I was forced to go to the church. The blocked path made me feel things I wouldn't have if I was shooting terrorists with my calculator. Why seek action in a game with no shooting mechanic? Shooting is like math. Why play a game expecting what you've seen before? Why does a game have to be anything at all? Is a game a tool? Or is it creation, for God's sake? It happens in your head and not in some cold, lifeless grid of numbers. The number exists behind the veil. Don't pull the veil and reveal the magician is not an old man's head. Why use a guide when your mind is the game? Just because it contradicts your mental model doesn't mean it's wrong. It's expanding your map into uncharted territories, into hyena-filled islands made to harvest ice that make you immortal. You want everything spelled out? Can't you do math or feel? Of course not. It's all about mashing. But video games are supposed to be played, not lived. Stop pretending it is deeper than it is. Rules, that's the word Mondo hates the most. A Kafkan dream, not a nightmare. Heavily bureaucratic all the same. At one point, yaoi is poisoned. Stefan says the manager was the mastermind. There was no poison. The game made you believe it. Mondo is too trusting. I can say any kind of bullshit here, and I'll fall for it, unless you play the game, in which case, you know the truth. Maybe there aren't even any terrorists. Did a thought ever cross your feeble little mind? I guess you have to see for yourself instead of using a video as a replacement. I'm giving you a glimpse. Now seek the light. Skyscrapers are symbols of social hierarchy. People at the bottom of the mountain know little of its peak. The ward as a hakoniwa, a simulacrum built to cultivate crime and engineer its solution. Qualification determines worth. A genius programmer shaped the 24th ward. To him, it was just SimCity. To them, he was someone to be exploited, regardless of his purity of intention. But those with mental disorders are suspended from work, their lives deemed without value. Sumio said the strong can't save the weak must construct themselves as the strong, meaning not found without, but forged within. But in the word, people aren't constructed, they are scouted for their supposed nature. Powerful people offer a second life to the talented who have nowhere else to go, earning their obedience even if that second life means taking others' lives. Like programs, people can be copied within a system. Like tools, they can be replaced. Whether aligned with law or crime, the only difference is the hand they were dealt. Tsuki and Osato's division are the supporting actors, like the stagehands in kabuki, dressed in black, who move the actors across the stage, meant to be ignored by the audience, because they don't really exist within the play. Kusabi always said crime lives in the darkness. When it comes to light, he wishes he could bear it again. The clear line between panels, like cages. Face to face, they can't connect. Separated by screens, they do. In the internet, people are reborn. But what can be achieved with something as thin as a wire? A false paradise. Tokyo seeks the tree of knowledge. Gnosis may lead one to paradise, but even with one sin redeemed, the original one still clings to the flesh. People. Corpses living out of habit. The 25th word is a morgue. An idol deified by her suicide, even though her fans never knew her true self. People bought her final livestream on underground sites. When she died, the price went up. 3 days later, it's already old news. Through the monitor, she was digitalized, idealized, consumed, and then discarded. James Deeptree's Jr. novella, The Girl Who Was Plugged In, show us a society where ads are illegal, but not when filtered through influences. They must never tell a soul what they are doing. The girl's real body is ugly, so she transitions into a new one. Real? Fake? It matters not. Wearing a mask more real than what lies beneath. James Tiptree Jr. was the pen name of author Alice Bradley Sheldon. even if it was artificial, I was able to experience the appearance of being a woman, having an audience as a woman, and communicating with others as a woman. And through these experiences, I was able to find my true self. I don't want to give you more influence over me, and I don't want to influence you. Like me for who I am, not for what I produce. Don't let your feelings about me affect how you judge this work negatively or positively. See beyond the veil of influence or lack thereof. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed when the actor isn't the person and the play isn't life. While I was playing the Silver Case, both my neighbors decided to renovate their houses. One of them actually started around the time I moved here, almost 2 years ago. From dawn to dusk, the guy would hammer away. Then came the table saw. The noise was unbearable. It felt like they were invading my only safe place. For 2 long months, I endured, until one day I couldn't. I had a meltdown. My mind couldn't take it, so my body paid the price. I underwent 2 surgeries so they could fix my hand. Still, I played almost all these games with a broken arm. I did it for myself. The turtle's only desire is to live an uneventful everyday life. It's timid. If that peace is disrupted, it grows nervous and stops eating. Tokyo's room is just like a turtle tank. Who is Kamui? Kusabi just wants to kill the bad guy, someone who can be easily manipulated by those who decide who the bad guy is. A fairy tale removes him from humankind. He's a monster with no reasons behind his actions. We can't be infected by the virus. We are pure of sin, but the moonlight exposes every one of us. Kusabi killed the chief. Why? He is to be executed on sight. Justice becomes crime, but the law, they claim the divine right. People adjusting each other for personal gain, even across government branches, using it all as a pretext to exert power. They may accuse you of a crime you didn't commit. Out of fear, you lie. You become a criminal not by action, but by perception. They've already decided their fact. If A is good, then B must be evil. If someone leaves the trash out on the wrong day, they belong in the same bin. It's all justified. It makes one feel vindicated. Why call it a heinous crime division if every crime is heinous? To kill that Nichijo, that life, to kill the system itself is Kamui's mission. Consciousness lingers after death. Kamui blends into the crowd, influencing people in the exact way they want to be influenced. A symbol misunderstood by those who see themselves in him, the Joker delivering dramatic lines with a bomb strapped to his chest. People deify their supposed saviors. They seek salvation because they believe they can't save themselves. The anti-establishment rebel who wants to become the establishment, the opposite of punk. The newcomer Sakura asks why Kamui is being punished like this. Why does the media cover his every move as the case unfolds, as if it was a story? Why does he have to be cruelly executed live to erase him from everyone's consciousness? Isn't there another way to atone? Maybe that person didn't even mix the trash days. Maybe someone else just said they did. The crimes happen out of necessity, through influence, boredom, trauma, inequality, delusion, alienation, a mistake. The neighbor who lives across the street, or the one you share your mind with, beware thinking you're not the other, lest you become them yourself. And you know what? Kamui probably didn't kill anyone. In 2016, when Suda brought the Silver Case Remastered to the West, he said, instead of putting this out as a Suda51 game, I want to go back to a time, ただの Suda Goichi で作ってた頃に戻りたいんですよ. You look at your past work and see someone else. Maybe someone that has more to say about the world through their personal lenses than about themselves, through lenses blurred by legend. But you can never relive those days. In your mind, it feels true. But what remains of those memories is just another distortion, clouded by how you felt back then, or how you believe you felt back then. The truth, muddled in facts of our own making. When asked what he'd say to his past self, Suda replied, "You made an amazing game. A game you can be proud of." I'd like to tell him that, and let him know people all over the world are playing his game. You did it, Suda. You did it. But you can't escape the past so easily. It loops back like a curse. The Shouter Kids was an eugenics program designed to raise creative and productive children for the future. But its true purpose was to implant loyalty to two political factions within the government, enabling them to carry out crimes under direct orders. Osato had the potential to become the next Kamui, to be used against another faction. He was the son of a killer, so it's in his genes, right? If they could just eliminate the criminal aspect, you would have the perfect tool. An axe can chop wood, or it can split the skull of an old woman. Only the tool can't repurpose itself. Kamui was born in that Shouter, a dim world where sunlight couldn't reach. He likes his miniature world. In solitary confinement, he feels at home. In the dark, you can only see yourself. But how do you define yourself if no one else is there? What drives a woman to kidnap her former catatonic boyfriend and kill every woman connected to him? She can't become a cold-blooded murderer so easily, can she? But the murder wasn't the walk. It was the last step. A detective and a killer, separated by their roles, united by their deeds. The silent protagonist is a created life, one of the many manifestations of Kamui, and the women are all Ayame, like Adam and Eve, raised to inherit the new world. Only they ate the apple of knowledge of good and evil, and then they were naked. They committed the original sin before they could understand the choice, and then nurture one. That's why I have to lend Kusabi 50,000 yen. It all ends with a joke. 15 years ago, indie games were seen as a salvation from the brown landscape of AAA gaming. In 2025, many indie games aren't even indie anymore. They're either backed by big publishers or stuck copying each other to optimize sales. The indie scene turned out to be Suda's false paradise. If a well-made roguelike, Metroidvania, Souls-like, deck-building Frankenstein's monster of a game is released, it will probably sell. Better run that market research. They play well. The controller is a dildo. But there's no new orgasms. It's just the same old image. It's always been like this. Back then they were still figuring things out. Now they know what works. Games can't risk not catering to everyone. How many times are we gonna get the next Chrono Trigger? Or another misdirected love letter that misses the point entirely? Where did the true punk go? And when does being unique becomes just another marketing tool? Lately, a lot of great, fresh, and interesting games have been coming out of the West. But in Japan right now, there's hardly any environment where new games can be born. We're often told there is no market for new games, which means we can take risks. That's why we create games for the global audience, so we can deliver something new to players. And the reason we can do that is because the global market is big enough. I'm tired of patterns, tired of formulas, tired of quantity over quality, or even quality over quality, or just quality. I just want something real. Are you having joy? I'm talking to you. No editing tricks. No performance. Just me talking to you, looking at you. I want to go forward, but I'm held back. Wake up. Lost Pass Island. Lost Past Island. How do you kill a pass if time doesn't exist? Maybe if time doesn't pass, you can pretend you don't want to run anymore. Pretend whatever you're hiding from won't catch up to you. Mondo was killed by a mysterious eye-patched man named Sundance Shot. Mondo helps people. Sundance kills people. Mondo searches for meaning. Sundance destroys it. Well, we gotta stop those terrorists. Was it a time loop? Or were these days different bodies, different worlds, different Mondos? No man's an island, but 16 men are an archipelago. If the world is a representation and we can never access others directly, then we too are representations in the minds of others and in our own minds. How can you know thyself if the self is always changing? Each day I wake up as a different person. They lie to the one before, until the truth slips through the cracks. When the truth repeats itself enough times, even if it's a lie, it becomes my own. A dream, within reality, times 8.5. I thought we made something strange that I'd never experienced in any other game. Thinking about it today, if I was told, make it again, Flower, Sun, and Rain may be the kind of game that I wouldn't be able to make. A game that feels more real in your mind than it ever does on the console. I feel that a lot of the time, people can seem to, I guess I could say, overinterpret. To kill the life is to destroy the lie. The lie told by the world. Sometimes they see things that weren't necessarily intended to begin with, or things that are a bit more vague, but they decide this must be what this means, until we stop taking their facts as gospel, until we construct our own truth. The plane flies to a world without paradise. At the end of the dream, Peter asks for his money back, but Mondo didn't lend him any money, did he? It all ends with a joke. But you know what? Don't trust a random YouTuber. Don't trust Suda. Don't even trust yourself. The statement is the work itself. The answer was inside Kamui. After all, the flower, sun, and rain was me all along, wasn't it? For Killer 7, Suda set the highest bar possible, a game so uniquely him that nothing before or after could compare. For No More Heroes, he just remixed everything into one crunchy, hyper-violent package. For the Wii, hell yeah! Unfortunately, it worked in America. In Japan, they had to give away copies. Suda would constantly show his staff a clip of Johnny Knoxville getting his nipples bitten by a baby alligator. This is the kind of person Travis is, except with Moe. Chiyomaru Shikura, creator of Steins Gate and a friend of Suda, once said that Suda doesn't understand Moe. Judging by his work, he's probably right. And if Chiyomaru's work is any evidence, you would know. Travis Touchdown wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. Except he would do this. A shonen-esque dream of a 27-year-old American otaku rising through the ranks of the United Assassins Association. A story that has almost nothing to do with its inspiration, Il Topo, and Space Invaders because Suda has a deep respect for his roots. I'm gonna make a series of videos detailing the entire history of video games, starting from the 70s, focusing on the lesser-known Japanese side. This is just cardboard. I made the entire thing for no reason.
Confia nele não, que ele não cumpre promessa, hein? Cadê o vídeo do Dempo, hein? Cadê o vídeo do Meta? Anfetamina?
Enemies drop coins like you're Mario with a receding hairline. Out of place treasure chests like you're in a video game.
It's game time!
Travis lives in a motel like the guy in Memento. He never returns a porn video. Ever. The kind of guy who scratches his balls if you let go of the controller. Very unlike the other Travis from Suda51's favorite film, Paris, Texas. One of the best I've ever seen. Suda has always made linear games. Monetary constraints gave birth to art, and to an empty open world. The side missions mock the job-like design of open world games, except they are mandatory, and there's no fast travel. You gotta pay to access the good stuff. You gotta climb the Everest. Only the Everest has boobs. The dichotomy of Travis's everyday life and his Chunibyo fantasies, represented by 2 game modes. This hopper spent an entire year making a game only for it to get cancelled. As the company's CEO, Suda felt responsible for his co-workers' jobs. Maybe that's one reason why No More Heroes is more accessible. Some jobs aren't important, and you may hate them, but if you do them to the best of your ability, it will turn out well. Better times will come. Travis faces against his father after Obi-Wan was killed.
Actually, it definitely wasn't Star Wars, but it could have been Spaceballs. So that could have been where I got the inspiration from. But it wasn't Star Wars.
Trust your force.
Except that was not his father. Travis's real father. No action game fan would sit through a 15-minute monologue like that. Part of it was making fun of myself and that sort of genre.
That's my story.
Travis entered this blood-stained world, chasing a false paradise.
I want to bail, but where the hell's the exit?
The euphoria of killing was just an escape from his mundane life. To Travis, even death is fiction.
Then let's find that exit they call paradise.
Everything he fought for, and by extension the player, meant nothing. He spent all his money just to kill. He didn't get the girl,
You mean my wife?
the rankings, the Assassin's Association, the promise of glory. All Sylvia's ploy to get you to play the game. Grasshopper always had a very distinct style. Would you have to compromise all that to reach a wider audience? I think now is the time when a little change needs to be made. And you're okay with that? It's absolutely okay. I want to be evolving constantly. No More Heroes surpassed Killer 7 sales. That gave Suda the confidence to make solid action games instead of just edgy ones. The edge was sharp, the solid was smooth. But what if from here on out, it wasn't even solid? What if it was liquid?
Before you start your desperate struggling.
That just happened. Travis's first opponent is Dante's brother, Cloud Strife. Sylvia recruits Cloud into the ranks, setting him on a path of revenge against Travis, who killed his brother in the trailer of the previous game. But then, someone else kills Bishop, Travis's best friend, just to get Travis to seek revenge himself, just like an old boy. Except, it's a Saturday morning cartoon. Don't worry, Bishop is later replaced by his brother, Bishop. Wait, are we really doing this game by game? Você sempre fez assim. Yeah, but that sucked. The structure was way too stiff. Why are we stopping the video for gags and self-awareness?
É uma sátira, energúmeno.
Who are these people? I don't remember them. I'm not doing that again, I'm sorry. Get out of here. People complained about the empty open world, so Suda removed it. But he wasn't even the director nor writer. It was this guy. Blame him. Travis transforms into a tiger because his name is Torabisu. Travis is no longer a loser. Teenager girls want him.
I feel like that pervy teacher in a porn.
Because the criticism is over. Now it says empty is the level design. Brace yourself for waves of enemies that you gotta hit at least 51 times to advance. But hey, the controls are more fluid. Thought 10 ranked battles were too few? How about 51? Except you skip from 50 to 25 in one go. I hope you like that one boss skipping joke in the first one, because now it's the entire game. No More Heroes 2 is a parody of a parody. Assassins are human beings, not tools. So the Goichi once said, working as an undertaker shaped how he portrays death in games. He refused to treat it lightly.
Some people fuck at funerals. I cut off heads.
That's not kill the past, that's just a misunderstanding of the past. Travis keeps yelling Moe for no reason. It's like they say, you either die a hero or live long enough to become one.
I know more heroes.
With the success of Travis' Touchdown, Western companies set their sights on the weird Japanese man. They wanted to turn him into a superstar. His producer, Resident Evil's creator Shinji Mikami, who helped Suda shine in Killer 7, was called in again. Suda envisioned a game inspired by Kafka's The Castle, presented in the style of an Eastern European puppet show. His novel was left unfinished, but it was exactly because it is unfinished that I thought that I wanted to complete the castle in his place. In Kurayami Dance, Kei is an undertaker who, after a 3-year coma, is summoned to the castle for a funeral service. Tanaka takes his own life, but not before asking Kei to bury him. Another Tanaka takes his place. Everyone is named Tanaka. Suicide is a public spectacle, a kingdom where death is treated lightly, a promised marriage. The love of his life? Dead. Under the full moon, they wed, and he lays her to rest. When I considered the visuals, I immediately thought of darkness, and I imagined a hero within this night, with a light that would, in a way, symbolize his life. It's not about some hideous monster or evil creatures coming out of the darkness, but playing on our natural fears of the dark, and the uneasiness that comes from the absence of noise and life. The main character started off wearing nothing, and he doesn't even have a gun. You know the perfect company to fund a game like this?
EA Games. Challenge everything.
They suggested that
Fuck you!
that's why he has a gun. The Western style is guns. That sacred American custom must never be violated. Anyone who even thinks about being creative must obtain a permit from the company. Suda would never reach the castle. All the roads that might have led him there twisted and brought him right back to where he started. Finally, he was given a AAA game to not direct. They only needed his name, not his terrifying creative power. The gun was supposed to be a little demon girl who by the end would grow into a woman, Garcia's love interest.
Just an innocent little child.
You're nothing but a sick maniac.
But why?
それを聞いてびっくりして、
日本の人
そうなの、
とのちょっと
そう。
考え方
日本だと
違いだよね。
ね、やっぱりね、小さい子は子供は可愛いって存在じゃないですか。って言ったら違う。そんなわけないだろうとか。
自我があるから。
うるさいだけなんだみたいな。
A mother asking her own child to die with her? A school massacre? There's this thing called an elevator pitch in America, and if you can tell a story in the length of an elevator ride, Hollywood won't use it. He was a foreigner in a strange land. He had no say in the matter, even if he was called upon. Suda respected EA's authority. EA gave none back. In the original script, the main character tries to hang himself, but the rope snaps. Here, instead, we get a woman in the fridge right at the start. I love when suicide is followed by tutorials. Garcia goes to hell to chase after his women. Garcia has a dick gun. There's a boner matter. Hell was designed as an artificial place chopped up by executives, a labyrinth with no exit. But this time the door stayed shut, even though hell is still other people. I'm making a game for an adult audience, one that shows what life is and what being a human is. The man made games for no one, but they couldn't afford not to sell to everyone. He built a cult following who, like him, could see what's invisible to the naked eye. To make a strange punk game was not a literal request. It meant make it strange enough that it would sell, but not strange enough that it wouldn't sell at all. Suda sold out. Shinji Mikami said the final product broke his heart. He sold his soul for a game that had none. It flopped. If I ever happen to work with EA on another game, I'd really appreciate if they just okayed the first version of the script next time. The first feelings, the first emotions that will remain in you forever. We call that moment, that feeling, the punk. But then, actually for the whole punk thing, that came about because one time, way back in the day, I used the words, punk's not dead. Then that just kind of took on a life of its own. So people were like, Grasshopper's punk, Suda51 is punk. You know? And to be honest, I don't really consider that or keep it in mind while making games. I wouldn't necessarily say that the games are punk or that I'm going for a punk vibe. Men are condemned to be free. That responsibility shouldn't be passed off to someone else. But sometimes people's jobs are on the line. Sometimes it's either this or laying off the people who are counting on you. Sometimes you have to act in bad faith to act in good faith to people. Every person has their own path in life, and the things one has to sacrifice, the things one has to prepare for, become the biggest impetus behind a work I want to persevere, because it would be too sad if they were not rewarded somehow. Is Suda51 sexist?
They say it's sexy, but they mean sexiest.
Well, I love looking at high school girls' panties. To me, that's an achievement. This is Suda's zombie school panic comedy. The last game killed him. This one lowly popped in his head while he... Finally, directed by Suda51 and written by James Gunn. You know, another great company to work with. Almost every male is a little zombie trying to devour Juliet, just like the target audience.
Don't you think it's a little bit demeaning to women? I mean, that outfit you're wearing.
Chizuru was angry during the second case because she was on her period.
You're objectifying yourself like an object.
Killer's Dad is the yin to Lollipop Chainsaw's yang. The protagonist is Mondo Zappa. Instead of Bond girls, we have Mond girls. Well, I mean gigolo mode? Psych me up. Lollipop Chainsaw feels heavy, like I'm carrying extra weight.
Killer is dead.
It feels as light as a cardboard cutout. You can unload from a distance or go full thrust up close.
Don't make me use my sword anymore. It's too filthy.
Snap sexy photos to feel your guts gauge. To date, you stare at the girl's parts. Look away at the right time to recharge your sword, unlock the drill, buy her heart with gifts, or just use X-ray glasses to win instantly. This was actually planned for that game. You know what's better than jerking off in a video game about a loser? Jerking off while pretending to have sex while pretending you're a Chad. Flower, Sun, and Rain uses boredom to say something. In its flashness, the killer isn't dead. I am. You know why Mondo has a mechanical arm? Because he killed Osama bin Laden. You know what they found in his HD? Well, I guess Osama bin Laden is truly your neighbor. The madness of the moon symbolism is now literal. There are only 12 missions, but the last one is 51. Suda51 didn't direct this one either, nor, right? Gigolo mode wasn't even Suda's idea, but the publisher strongly requested its inclusion. As a first-time director, Shin Hideyuki couldn't refuse.
非常にその人間味が出てですね、エモーショナルなモードになったんじゃないかなと思います。
That's not what my client meant. It's fine when Travis runs his mouth like the ill-mannered son of a bitch he is. But when a girl does it, she gets called bad girl. She acts fragile just enough for chauvinist Travis and the player to fall right into her trap. That's a fucking commentary. Suda compares cheerleaders, what he calls American symbols, to Japanese idols, their pop counterparts. People usually complain about this from a Western lens. The West and the East approach art differently. Over here, we often treat art as a tool, a way to address real-world social issues that can and should be done if that's the intent, which is not always the case. Creators almost always have something to say, but let's be honest, entertainment usually comes first. You can say, all art is political, sure, but on that sphere, a statement is more valid if it was meant to be one. Yes, a work can reflect its historical, culture, or political context. It can even be an uninformed statement, sure, but to crucify a creator because of the so-called problematic content is to use your own culture to define art from everywhere else. It's reducing art to a single sphere of influence. Intent is important, and so is the culture in which that intention came from. And so is, and this is my favorite, because I wanted to. Yoko Taro included To Be As She Is because he likes hot women. And it would sell more, and it did. Skaji made a whole game about Wittgenstein's philosophy, while lamenting he couldn't have included testicles in the futanari scenes. The profane and the sacred can be one. Contradiction is part of Japan's cultural baggage. Emotional whiplash is not always bad writing or a tone problem. A culture's sensibilities shape how it perceives art. Japan, for example, tends to be more concerned with violence than sex. Humans bleed oil over there. This is a country that built an entire genre around sex. And somehow that's my favorite genre. I will defend lolicon, eroguro, and comedic rape if I have to, and I'll hate myself for doing so. Should we politely discuss the limits of art? Maybe. Will I discuss it? No. After saving every student in every stage, you get the best ending. It's like ending your PS3 game with your wiener. In Brazil, we have a cachaça named 51. I propose a toast to Suda51, the genius behind that game, Lollipop Chainsaw, and
Killer is...
oh God, please let it die. Maybe Suda made such deconstructive games because he didn't love those genres to begin with. He wanted a revolution, not repetition. But a revolution in action games is way more expensive. When Grasshopper started working on multiple games at once, he had to reallocate staff between projects, something Suda regrets doing. Managing a studio is hard work, so when someone says the developers were lazy, they don't really understand what goes on behind the scenes. No one sets out to make a bad video game. Budget, executives, the publisher, vision, resources. There are so many factors that reducing to one thing is the laziest insult you can give. I agree, generally YouTube critics don't know what they're talking about. As a whole, video game discourse is terrible. So much of it is mean-spirited, as if games are made in a vacuum. A Twitch viewer once told me about a guy who rated movies by adjusting the score scene by scene as he watched. That's not criticism, that's calculus. Some people just want to see me kick a game while it's down. Why would you want that? I don't want that. YouTube is an easy job, comparatively. It might take a few months to make something good, but you're not managing 50 people while being bounced around by men in suits. Suda has said that it's hard to motivate his staff on a truly original project because there's nothing to compare it to. My staff have to be made to understand what I'm trying to do, why I'm trying to make something new, why we are going around trying to create when we can always easily copy something else. I have to make them understand the value of creating this new game, so this is my first fight. The fight with my staff. When I tried making a game, I was so bad at explaining myself that out of 4 people, only 1 understood what I was going for. Me and my artist, Lighty, who made these thumbs and follows me blindly. That's the only thing you need to work with me or watch my channel, A Leap of Faith. So the second fight is the marketplace, but he doesn't consider other games to be his competition. Games have such a short history, and I feel that other game makers are my comrades, that we are together trying to make history. When I make a video, I don't look to the sides. I don't look up or down. I look inward, which is a problem when you're trying to make something for other people at the same time. So this final fight is with himself, stating that as he gets older, it's getting harder to create something really new. To create a new game, there aren't any existing answers. So I have to have inspiration within myself to use it for my own originality, and that is my biggest fight with myself. This is Suda51's indie game, made with a small team just like in the old days. Except this time it's about himself. We have our Gigolo here, Fire Pro Wrestling, Shiroyabu, a game called Serious Moonlight, the sequel to that game. It feels like Suda shaking Suda's hand. I hope you like Takashi Miike as much as Suda does, because he's in the game.
Could you film a live-action version of No More Heroes?
Suda, please. No More Heroes 3's villain is the ex-CEO of EA, and also the boy from E.T. Except E.T. came back 20 years later as Cell. Travis doesn't turn into a tiger anymore, he turns into a Gundam.
The mech from Damon X Machina? From the Japanese publisher Marvelous?
Oh look, it's Travis's brother, Kylo Ren. A shonen kamui saved by the power of friendship to watch movies on Travis's couch.
The true end is killing the past.
Surakase is dead.
This is taking way too long. How long is this guy gonna walk?
Just be patient.
RPGs don't really suit me.
Because the characters look fucking...
The characters look... But do the characters look... The characters...
Well, if you're gonna kill the past, better do it with style.
Strong enough! I changed my makeup, but looks won't lie. It's time to wake up and kill the past!
Travis beats the alien, but of course, the true antagonist is the CEO, the anti-punk, the anti-Suda. Suda always wanted Travis in Smash. Everyone is here! Except Travis.
Smash! Smash!
What does Suda earn for almost 30 years of hard work? What's his reward? A special thanks in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. So, he makes his own Smash Brothers. Kirby and Smash creator Masahiro Sakurai played this portion and left his ass off, but that's still a no. Suda became a parody of himself, and by doing so in a strange way, he came back in full circle.
I just want to believe that. Let me believe that. Facts and truth are different. Fuck it.
My own No More Hero.
Both gave me an overdose of references. One was personal, the other had more budget. And I like the blockbuster better. I'm a hypocrite. The marvelization of cinema and games rotted my brain. Suda Goichi is a mysterious man. He loves Sogoishi, Derek Jarman, David Lynch, Godard, Kafka, Dostoevsky, and he loves superhero movies, anime, video games, and pop culture. My Suda is in a past I don't want to kill. Kill the future. Kill the future! To venture outside your comfort zone, to consume anything and everything, even what might not be your cup of tea. to be open to new experiences, to new worlds. I have something to say. You visit Sumio on Lost Pass, a hotel, meet Kusabi, fall into a coma, fight a war, ride a time battleship, go to hell, reborn as a bee, go to hell, reborn as a plankton, reborn as a stone, reborn as kamui, reborn as a fly after being turned into Swiss cheese. Don't be reborn, gun suicide, wake from a dream, discuss your feelings about the world, reborn as a space debris, and wander around in the infinite universe. Kuroyanagi goes to Italy, reborn as a Brazil nut, drown, disappear after eating eggs. Does the world really exist? Or is it a train station? Become time, become the future. Catch on fire and hurt, mistaken for a sex offender. Wake up in a white room. Wake up in a white room. Eternal
darkness.
Shiroyabu shoots a dinosaur with a ray gun. Shiroyabu dies, but doesn't. Save the 25th ward in a time loop. Meet Travis Touchdown. Find Susie Summer. Become an angel and go to heaven. Kill everyone there. Game over. Go to Twin Peaks. Discuss how Dogi Jones is awesome. Dogi explained his theories on Kafka's The Castle. Andy Kaufman was peak comedy. Reborn as a Supreme Court judge. Die from duck. Plane explodes. Become a time leaper. Become the world champion. Stand between today and tomorrow. Go back to yesterday after solving a case tomorrow. Reborn as gluten, as protein, as a beer can, as a beer bottle. Find a door to the underworld. Make tea and become the universe. Head to the promised land. You become diversity. Become the Killer 7 after opening your third eye. Go bald. Bruce Wayne is the biggest dick. Everyone turns into 2D. You rule the 25th ward after attending to a polygon body training class once a week and getting your polygon certification and return with a fully polygonal body. I'm sorry. The character I omitted in this video appears in a 200 million polygon body. It takes too long to render, so he only rules the world when 16K is a common thing. The character turns into a furry. Mondo Zappa on an unicorn. Listen to those myths. Win at life. Come back to your senses. Game over. Recite 100 endings. Not realize I skipped a few. Refuse to explain anything. 99% of viewers already gone. For those who stayed, let me tell you, I'll change the world. Watch me, trust me. I am the future. I am you. Destroying everything is free of charge. Rebuild it again, that takes a budget. I'm just sharing this with you, so don't tell anyone. That's our promise. So please, lend me 15,000 yen. You know what company would work great with a experimental, niche, hyper-political, ultra-violent game? Nintendo. They didn't like the word killer in the title. 7 assassins, 7 samurai, 7 missions, 7 sins.
Kill a 7.
Resident Evil's creator, Shinji Mikami, was a fan of Suda. He asked if Suda wanted to be a world-renowned game designer, so he made the main character a wheelchair user, or a black man, or 6 other people who may or may not be them. This is arguably Suda's Goichi's most acclaimed title, the one that opened the Pandora's box. Suda has finally gone beyond the red zone. His progression was calculated. They didn't have the staff for an action game at the start, so Grasshopper made an ADV, then a 3D adventure game, and now he wanted to make something no one had seen before nor since. Wanna move by using the analog stick? Try pressing A. Down a straight line, it branches just to loop back to the same path. Invisible forces, political, social, control your fate like rails. Or maybe it's accessibility. Suda wanted to make movement as simple as possible to fit the hardware because this was a game for everyone. Someone told him, if you made the movement more conventional, this game would sell 3 times more. Thank God it didn't. The hint NPC wears BDSM gear. Shh, he speaks no evil. The maid only saves your game when she feels like it. A girl's head in a washing machine tells you she feels safe in confined places. You know what else a shooting game needs? Invisible enemies. The kind you have to stop for and listen for the if you rush, you risk an early death. Or 7. Garcian's myth is a cleaner. When you die, Garcian has to retrieve the handbag of another personality. Try a clean shot on the weak spot and risk an explosion to the face, dying in 1 or 2 hits. It feels great to kill in one go, but when you empty your clip just to survive, even if you win, it feels like you lost. In this shooter, don't shoot. Stop, think, then shoot. It was so unique that this is Suda's favorite game, and he made the thing. It's truly out of this world. An alternate reality Capcom timeline of Kill the Past. Maybe. You know what happens when they ask you to make a game for an audience outside your own country? So I started thinking that, okay, I'm in Japan, the game's based in America. I'll make something about the relationship between Japan and America after the war. There's the political agreement that America protects Japan and Japan doesn't go to war. And I thought, what if that agreement expired? How would Japan protect itself? Would they attack America? Would America attack us? Would they be able to create a new agreement? I wanted to touch on things that while we may be friends, at one time we did go to war, and America did drop the bomb on Japan. Well, not this. People watch missiles flying to another country like it's fireworks, like in a Hollywood movie. A world inhabited by ghosts. There's the surface world, the action world, and then there's the world explained through the script. Remnant psyches standing along the route map, and they speak to you. This was recreated as a kind of underlying structure, but it's all just nonsense, isn't it? If Flower, Sun, and Rain is Suda at his most sincere, Killer 7 is Suda at his most confident. Just kill the monsters. Feel justified, goddammit! It's Nier. 5 years before Nier. The Heaven Smile, holy warriors, angels. In an age of terrorism, everyone is a terrorist. Except us. Samayoto, the prototype of the Heaven Smile, is something between a human and a monster, a kind of neighbor. It's just contract killing. It doesn't affect the country, it doesn't affect the world. You're not a cog in a machine. The old Bushido versus the new Japan, all according to the word of
guys who beat off 4 times a day.
But your cultural heritage can't be erased. Every time you kill, a ghost follows. They still run the country. You bow, they throw shit at you. In Japan, the older you are in the company, the more power you hold, but you want to escape the hierarchy. Hyper-violence for the youth. You have to kill to feel alive. Killing is what gives you strength. You steal blood to recover your own. They don't want foragers, but soft power control people through media. In American Red, the Yakumo, a document that outlines Japan's plan to unite all nations. The Yakumo is the first recorded poem in Japanese history found within the Kojiki, Japan's oldest surviving mythological text. The chapter is named Cloudman. To meet him, you have to collect action figures of himself, pop culture personified. Anyone can do it. Through their merits alone, a poor child can become CEO. To enter the building, you must know every detail of his life, fictional or not. His company sells no products. It only runs ads. Through the screen, the self-made man's American dream is always just around the corner. The Killer 7's enemies, through pigeon messages, explain their powers, like they are untouchable superheroes. But a hero is a monster. An American comic book artist draws from Japan's Super Sentai. The US transforms it into Power Rangers and hides the truth as if it was an American property. Corporations lean on artists until they can discard them. The creator is outlived. The brand lives on. Harmon, the mastermind behind the Killer 7, represents the West. On screen, a cool old man. In reality, a geriatric old man. The maid is meek and a violent caretaker. His opposite is Kunlun, the leader of the Heaven's Mile. He represents the East, forces of nature in conflict since the 1700s. When Japan engaged with the West, even under the isolationist Sakoku policy, the shogunate fell in the 19th century, and the Meiji era opened the borders. These men play chess, not shogi. Politicians are just actors, wheeling pieces on a board moved by those above. People are just actors, unwheeling pieces on a board inside a board. First you manipulate the mind, the inner world. Through that hive you manipulate the physical one. It starts in school. One man uses children as fuel for his smiles. They are pure. That's why they can be evil without even knowing. People deprived of all information, so that all that remains is the smile. After attempted terrorism, air travel and the internet were banned. A bridge was built to connect the world, but it was never finished. Both countries don't understand each other. Their audiences don't overlap. Religion as a tool used by governments to make people die for the country. Like state Shinto, where the emperor was divine, the spirit of Japan itself. To die for your god in a divine wind. When a man receives the light from the hand of God, he experiences pure ecstasy. The Heaven's Mile is manufactured terrorism. They are invisible. They could be anyone, and they die by suicide bombing. This is a post 9/11 game about American politics written by a genius Japanese writer. But what does he know about American politics?
I'm Japanese. How the hell should I know?
For a game built on the premise of post-truths, before that word was even widely used, it takes Suda's indirect style to its logical conclusion. Is this nonsense or too much sense disguised as nonsense? Notice how I never use the words insane, weird, or incomprehensible to describe his games. That only reduces a work. I want to leave it up to the players, whether my point gets to them or not. Killer 7's probably Suda's highest achievement as an artist. The gameplay is good. In the end, Garcian kills the Killer 7, but it's a flashback. The remnant cycles trapped inside him. The first-person view drives the point home. You've been controlling a cleaner of people. Garcian, no, Emir is both Japanese and American. His mother name is inside his house, screams from a locked room. Two opposite ideologies, both pulling him to their sides, a paw on rails. The suitcase Garcian always carries had the weapons inside of his victims. Mara, the demon of desire, of death, of rebirth, who tempted the Buddha from achieving enlightenment. In the first scene, Garcian accepts an envelope hidden inside a novel, the picture of Dorian Gray. It would kill the past, and when that was dead, you would be free. If you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. If you kill the Japanese man, the US prevails and Japan is destroyed. If you let him live, Japan wins, but the US, the final target, is a flag. All the lines led to this branch, to this non-choice. The cycle continues no matter which country wins. As individuals, we are powerless. Emir breaks when he confronts himself. Throughout Killer 7, he solved the collective but never looked inside. Sumiomondo was the inverse. He had to look outward. Sometimes when we look inside, we find we are already dead, and that our corpses are being used by others who are also being used themselves. We are all tools, but we believe ourselves to be the artisan. Garcian was controlled by the player all this time, the watcher and the watched. They can only follow the path set by the designer, and the designer might change based on the player's input only after the play is over. A board within a board within a board. We stare at Killer 7 trying to fill in the blanks. We absorb, we spit out what we saw, but that isn't the truth. It's just a fact. And the Sansada keeps turning. Not all art is political, but Killer 7 is very persuasive, because I need fiction to tell me what to believe. Because I can only understand real life through its lens. Maybe that's why I like Flower Sound Rain more, because it takes place in someone's head, just like my life. My ambition to create new games and genres that no one else was making was met with harsh opposition. That made me think about giving up on writing my own scenarios, and it was a period where I had resolved to change my way of thinking in order to make Grasshopper into a studio that could make better selling games. Your way is not wrong, Suda-san, said Shinji Mikami. He told Suda to write everything himself. If the things I write have that kind of power, then it would be wrong of me to not pour all of my energy into my writing. At that point, Mikami entrusted the making of the entire game to me. I think I was probably protected by him, even from Capcom. When the release date was pushed back, it provided an environment to let me create everything I wanted to create. That kind of development is rare. I haven't had an experience like that since a project like Killer 7 that I practically made with my own hands. It's very difficult to be liked by a mass audience and still be very powerful. What's most important is after you finish playing the game, you walk away feeling lucky to have played it. And elements in the game's storyline or the game itself can actually influence you somehow in real life. Killer 7 changed Suda Goichi's career, and he soon turned into his evil twin. Like the final choice in Killer 7, Suda chose. He chose the world, as did I. And that choice changed everything. Never again to return to greener pastures. Never again to return to paradise. I have seen a lot of people who only remain themselves by repeating the same things they've done in the past, and I really don't want to be like them. Killing the past is also synonymous with fighting with the future, and what makes the future alive is facing the past and settling things. Basically, I don't want to cling to the same past things when I make games, since the players also want to see something new. I only look at the possibility of making games that face the future. Maybe paradise is a transition. Maybe the finality of death is the beginning of life. You know what my favorite verb is in Japanese? Umare kawaru. Because when things go wrong, I think maybe I'm just too weak. I think that I can't be fixed. So I have to be born again. I need another shot from the beginning. When I play a video game and I only have one hit left, I always die. Because I need as many chances as I can get. Because I don't think I can do it as I am. I need to be someone else. No matter how many identities I take or how many times I kill the past, if I'm still me, how can I do it? I don't need to die again to be reborn. I'm reborn every day. I've died a few times. Each time I kill more of myself to find myself. Before you, I am one. Inside, I am many. Though I wish these manys would happen one at a time. To kill the past is to kill how I reacted in the past. One time I treated my pregnant wife badly because of my vision. I treated myself badly because of this vision. I'd like to apologize to both of you because I know she's watching, so she's actually watching with me right now, so sorry. I'm sorry. I love you. I really love you. Change is the point, even if my mind hates to admit it. So change and be better. It's not about erasing nor rejecting the past, it's about surpassing it. Just like Suda, I can't lose to my past self because I already made my choice. We're going to make great things. It's not the end of the world, it's the beginning of a new one. So let me shake my own hand as well. 俺たちはずっと待っていた。今こそ決める時だ。ブラジルか。世界か。The world.
Come to me. This is now the end of the world. And come to me. Can't you see this cell strong fire?
終わりだ。
世界のいつもお前だけ 見つめて限りなき世界よ忘れないでくれお前だけ
Because this ain't no flower, sun, and rain, bows, there are no more heroes here. Because I just killed the past. And now, it's time to craft the future.
Good.